Hi, we're here today at the Hampton Court Palace for the annual Concours of Elegance. Amazing show. Should be on every petrol head, every lover of styles bucket list. And I'm going to be on the stage briefly soon with Jodie Kidd, speak about all things design, style, elegance. But before we do that, I'd like to take you through. We'll have a quick look at some of the cars that really catch my eye. So let's have some fun. So the first car we're going to be speaking about is the Ferrari 275 GTB, one of my favorites of all time. There's not much I can say about the car except that it's just absolutely stunning in reality when you get a chance. Very few chances often to see this car. You can just see it's got that long, typical Ferrari bonnet on it, the most beautiful, simple headlamps to it, elegant use of chrome on it, very pure, clean lines on the car. Couldn't have a better representation of what a Ferrari really means in the 60s. So again, designed by Pininfarina. So as your eye moves along the rear, you can just see that nice, beautiful sculptured rear fender on that. So typical of Ferraris of that era, where they just have all the power over the rear wheels. That really, really lovely haunch on the back flows right into the back of the car on the tailgate. That very fastback looking design. Cut off rear end, which is very much like a camtail, and that simple insertion of two round tail lights. Pure Ferrari, quad exhaust, just a beautiful stance, beautiful proportions. So here we have, again, one of my favorite 50s cars. This is the start of the XK era, so they had the XK120, XK140, and the XK150, but this was the baby. This was the original one. It's called the 120 because its top speed was 120. This is 1954, so you can imagine how sporty it must have been for that era when it first came out. Typically, you would see this kind of car, this setup here with these type of wheels with a faired rear end. So the wheel on the back would be faired in. You would have a skirt over it. Makes it a little bit more elegant, but this is Dave Gandy's. He's wanted it like that. I think it's because more of the race version style where you actually have two individual windscreens in the front. Typically the first ones had sort of a boat type, early boat type style windscreen where it joined in the middle, but amazing attention to detail. Again, if you look at the interior of this thing, it's absolutely stunning. Stunning through its simplicity, which is what I love about it. And the first 120s, the XK120s, had this beautiful hip line that just dropped in front of the rear wheel, came up and went over it. The 150s started to change that a bit more straight on, but this is absolutely a stunning, stunning car for me. It's all handled through beautiful reflections, very simple surfaces, but very beautifully controlled. But it's got this real Jaguar look to it. It's just springing forward. It's got the really beautiful control of the highlights going through the side. You can see that real dip. And as it comes back over the rear wheels, it really shows that power hunking over the rear end. Rear wheel drive, obviously, but just such a pure, beautiful line to this car. Here we have my absolute favorite Formula One car, probably my second favorite race car. Favorite race car, of course, 917 Porsche. But this is my favorite Formula One car. It's a Maserati 250F. Very successful in the 50s when it was racing. Front engine, basically one of the most purest designs of race cars you could ever see. Nothing extra on the car, just a couple wings where you need it for downforce, but very, very pure shapes and just vents where you need them. I mean, the sensation of driving a car like this must be absolutely the ultimate. I mean, you feel the speed in a car like this. You're exposed to all the elements. You can see the wheels. You've got the exhaust pipe right next to you. Very tight inside, beautiful inside actually. Incredible interior. We can see actually the structure is there all on display. Super lightweight, just the seat, the steering wheel. You're actually straddling the drivetrain in the middle. You see pedals on the left, pedals on the right. You got your gear shift, gated gear shift right down there. Wheels right next to you. It could be no better sensation driving a race car like this. It's absolutely pure performance, and it looks so stunning. What I find amazing about the construction of these type of cars is that they didn't hide anything. Basically, everything there is for a purpose. You can see the way they riveted everything together to make it super strong, super lightweight, but everything is there is just as it's needed. Love the beautiful tail, how it comes together through here. It's just one beautiful 3D complex shape, but the way they treated it is absolutely awesome.
So have you met Russell?
Yeah, we have.
How you doing?
With so much hair. That's the whole back end, isn't it? Right through there, cut line through there.
Yeah, so the split line runs up.
Yeah, I see.
As well. So again,
So that panel, that belongs to here?
So that's part of this one. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Gosh. I love that because it's thinking outside of what we've always done. Oh, cool.
There's an F1 in Singapore, never been driven, and it's still got the shipping wheel nuts.
The shipping wheel.
Red and green.
Green?
Starboard.
Really?
Yeah, port and starboard.
Oh, okay.
So you knew which side. And
Yeah.
It's still on. It's never turned the wheel.
Now it's time to interview our incredible guest. So Frank Stephenson is a world-renowned automotive designer with more than 3 decades. You don't look like that. It looks like only a couple. When we first introduce someone to the podcast and the interview, we always ask, what their first kind of inspiration was to get into classic cars, or cars, I suppose they're classic now. And mine was when I saw an E-Type when I was very little, and apparently yours is exactly the same. So take me through when you first spotted that E-Type.
That was quite an experience. I think most car designers, probably relatively around the age of 10 or so, start realizing that cars can have an emotional impact, that they're not just standing objects there, that they're actually, sculptures, rolling sculptures that induce some kind of emotional connection. So, and I remember it was March 19th, 1969. My father was walking me hand in hand up one of the boulevards in Rue Mohammed V in Casablanca, and there was a Series 1 E-Type parked on the side there. It had just been parked because I remember still to this day that it smelled like gas or oil, and it was doing that tick, tick, tick. And it stopped me, not because of that, but because of the sculpture, because of the shape of the car. My father, after about 10 minutes, was starting to get a bit fed up and saying, come on, it's time to go. And the last thing I remember is him pulling me away, and I was crying, and I just didn't want to leave.
Introduce this one, Frank?
Yeah. So here we have today my favorite car of all time, design-wise, obviously. This is actually a later version. This is the 4.2 version of the Series 1 Jag E-Type, FHC, fixed head coupe. It's absolutely stunning. It just gets more stunning. The more I look at this car, the more I discover about it, the more I just think it's absolute. Well, I wouldn't call it absolute perfection. I'd call it probably a 9.9 out of 10. So if I had to go at it, I think one of the things that I would first consider on this car is how they've treated and handled the chrome on it. The line, for example, that goes through here, kind of stops here and doesn't go anywhere, but then it continues to here. And then what is absolutely unbelievable for me of a car like this is that the chrome actually stops from here to here, and I would have continued that chrome waistline to there and probably even juggled or tapped this line a little bit so it would come down to this point here, so you'd have a nice flow of the belt line, what we call the belt line through the waist area there. But in general, this car really is a stunning piece of sculpture. So this is one of the cars that I'm going to be presenting in my Dream Garage collection of cars that we're going to be showing on YouTube. And maybe that's one of the points I'll be fixing when I go in to look at how I would have done this car if I'd had a go at it.
Clearly, looking after a brand like Ferrari is a huge responsibility. So how do you make sure that you remain modern without stepping on years and years of history?
Well, that's the hard part. You have to step on that history. You actually have to get caught up in it. You have to understand Ferrari for what it is. And, you see that problem in this day and age. You see a lot of designers coming in with a bit of responsibility and shaking the company up and moving away from what the company's recognized at. It's not to say that we shouldn't change things in the design details, but you have to treat them with some kind of respect that associates it kind of with what came before. So I have to tell you that I absolutely love this car. A lot of reasons. But first of all, I just start with the front end. I look at such a purposefully designed front end, and I understand that logic that function equals beauty, and this car is just an amazing statement of intent, of pure intent. Look at those thighs coming through here, that voluptuousness that is typical of the Ferraris of that era, and also the headlight detail design. I was actually inspired by this headlight when I designed the Mini headlamps for different reasons, but you can see a little bit of that roundness and voluptuousness in the design of the Mini on the headlamp area. All these very purposeful grills here, done very simply but very beautifully. The straps just show the era of the vehicle itself. The wraparound glass, which is very typical of cars of that era too. Can't really do that much curvature because of the lamination of the windscreens today, but beautiful to see it like that. The side vents on this car just make it. I mean, it's a way to break up the volumes on the fender, but they do it in a very, very beautiful, artistic way almost. As you come around the side, for me, it's just all about proportions. I've always said that. And you just have this cabin sitting right in front of the rear wheels and that big, long, elongated almost front bonnet on the car. That fender, that way it sweeps off the waist of the car and just wraps elegantly down into the headlights. Just beautiful. What a masterful touch to have modeled something like that. Overall, absolutely beautiful. My favorite car today.
I could sit and listen to you, which I will do, hopefully, for the rest of our lives, of all the most incredible endeavours that you're up to.
Thanks.
It really is such an honour every time I get to see you. And thank you, Mike, so much for being up on stage. I look forward to our next meeting.
We'll meet soon.
Thank you so
Jodie.
much again.
Thanks,
You've been
Mike.
an absolute
Cheers.
superstar. Thank you.
So there you have it, guys. My wrap up for the day after spending it here at the Hampton Court Palace Concours of Elegance. And we've had an amazing time, amazing cars here. Like I said, too many to review, but it's just a joy to be here and feel it and just absorb that kind of energy around these beautiful cars. Thanks also to Jodie, because we had a great interview that you'll be able to catch live on her podcast. It's called The Chubb Interviews. Thank you for watching. Look forward to seeing you again in my next video coming up soon.